are going to demand our rights peacefully, non-violently, and we shall win.
Ken Saro-Wiwa was the face of a movement. He called for an end to the exploitation of the oil-rich Niger Delta until the Nigerian government put an end to him in 1995. He and 8 others were hung on charges of murder, but many believe his real crime was fighting this: oil companies, widely blamed for devastating the environment and paying off government officials while the Nigerian people languished in poverty. Now a landmark lawsuit accuses Shell of complicity in his death and other crimes against humanity.
Shell not only requested the presence of the Nigerian military at peaceful protests, which would result in violent incidents, but they also paid them. They fed the soldiers as well. So Shell's role really is as a collaborator. They may not have tied the noose around Ken's neck, they might not have pulled the trigger, but essentially they facilitated human rights abuses in the Niger Delta.
In a statement, Shell denied any involvement in Saro-Wiwa's death. Shell attempted to persuade the government to grant clemency, according to a spokesperson. To our deep regret, that appeal and the appeal of many others went unheard. The plaintiffs in this case, including Ken Saro-Wiwa's son, are bringing their lawsuit to trial here in a New York City courtroom. American law allows foreign nationals to sue companies registered in the United States, but it's a long and costly process, one that others have tried with only limited success.
Sometimes the battle for the activists is just to keep it alive in the courts in order to perhaps reach a settlement, perhaps to bring pressure to bear on the company in some other ways. But moving on to trial is a whole nother level of engagement.
If Shell loses the case, it could be forced to pay millions of dollars in damages. In Nigeria, the once peaceful protest movement has grown increasingly violent, as has the government's crackdown. Activists say the drilling and the environmental degradation continues.
Shell and the Nigerian government both bear responsibility. The fact that the social and environmental devastation that Ken Saro-Wiwa died fighting against is still such an issue in the Niger Delta shows that they're not listening.
And yet, even in death, Saro-Wiwa continues to rally his supporters and their hopes that some of Nigeria's oil wealth can finally be shared with its people. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, New York.